Ever wonder where everything really came from? I mean, it really, really came from.
Beyond the usual answers.
Yeah, like, forget the Big Bang just for a moment. Imagine a state before anything. Total rest. Before time even existed, what would that even be?
It's almost impossible to truly picture, isn't it?
Exactly. But that's kind of the mind-bending idea we're diving into today. We're looking closely at some really ancient, deep concepts from H.P. Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine.
Specifically Stanza 2.
Right, Stanza 2, which tries to describe the cosmos in this state called Paranirvana before a new cycle of activity, a manvantara, kicks off.
It's fascinating because Blavatsky's trying to put words to something that's fundamentally outside our normal experience, this pre-cosmic state.
Paranirvana. Sounds like the ultimate cosmic timeout.
Huh. Well, yes, but it's a bit more profound than just taking a break.
I figured. So as we journey through these ideas today, you, our listeners, should know there's some pretty unique language involved. Our mission really is to explore these dense concepts together.
And maybe find some surprising ways to think about reality itself.
Let's do it. So, Paranirvana, this state of rest. Where do we start? Blavatsky introduces these figures called the Builders.
Yes, the luminous sons of manvantaric dawn.
What a title. Who are these guys, these cosmic construction workers?
Well, they're given various names: cosmocrators, Dhyan-Chohans.
Lords of meditation, I think that means.
That's the idea, yes. Or, divine beings. They're described as these invisible but intelligent masons.
Masons, like shaping the universe.
Exactly. Fashioning matter according to a divine plan, which is called Mahat.
Okay, Mahat, like a cosmic blueprint.
Precisely. You could maybe think of the grand architect idea from early masonry. There were some echoes there. And within our system, they're also called the watchers of the 7 spheres.
Now, 7 spheres. My first thought is planets. But it's more complex, isn't it?
Oh, yes. It's not just the physical planets we see. Esoterically, it refers to the 7 Earths or globes of our planetary chain.
Our chain, like Earth is just one link.
In this view, yes. And it also relates to the great cycles of evolution that happen on those globes, the rounds.
Wow. Okay, so our solar system is kind of the case study here.
For understanding these principles in Stanza 2, it's often the primary focus, yes, though the earliest concepts are universal.
Gotcha. And these builders, they're not all the same. There's a hierarchy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They originate from the primordial 7 rays of the third logos, the ultimate source of differentiation. And the builders themselves are evolving beings.
Evolving? How so?
Well, some are said to have been human in previous, unimaginably ancient cosmic cycles. Others haven't reached that stage yet, or are far beyond it. They're all on different paths.
That's incredible. So what makes them distinct from each other?
It's through the action of what are called the Sons of Fohat.
Fohat, again. We hear that name a lot.
It's central. The Sons of Fohat are seen as the 7 fundamental forces of nature, basically the agents that differentiate the primordial energy.
Like the tools that carve out diversity.
That's a good way to put it. And related to these vast cycles, we also hear about the 7 eternities.
Is our
immense time periods, covering both the entire life of a universe of Mahakalpa and the rest periods, the Pralayas, specifically for our solar system.
And Pralaya isn't just one big shutdown?
No, it happens on different scales. There can be planetary Pralayas, solar Pralayas, all the way up to the universal dissolution.
Okay. And back to the builders hierarchy you mentioned, some are higher than others.
Yes. The sources suggest, for instance, that the planetary spirits guiding Earth are considered lower than those associated with, say, Jupiter.
Why Jupiter?
It's seen as more spiritually refined, so its builders can apparently reflect the universal mind, this Mahat, more clearly. They're a better conduit for that cosmic plan.
Interesting. And during this pre-cosmic rest, what state are they in?
They are in Paranirvana.
Paranirvana.
Yes. It's described as the ultimate state of rest, perfection, absolute completion. Sort of equivalent to Paranirvana itself, or the absolute state.
So pure subjectivity, pure beingness.
Pure subjectivity, yes. Related only to Paramarthasatya, the absolute true self-consciousness. For the highest beings, the ahai, it's called the bliss of non-being.
Okay, non-being, that sounds final, like annihilation.
It does sound like that to our usual way of thinking. But it's crucial to understand it doesn't mean ceasing to exist. It means merging into absolute being.
Ah, so it's a state so total, so beyond our finite perception that it seems like it's opposite.
Exactly. It's not nothingness, it's everythingness, but beyond differentiation. And the idea is that all differentiated existence eventually returns to this state.
But there's a catch, right? You can return consciously or unconsciously.
That's the critical distinction.
Yeah.
Unconscious Paranirvana is like, well, the sources describe it as an extinction of your individual differentiated consciousness for immense periods. You lose Paramartha, that true self-awareness.
Like the iron ball analogy, absorbing heat but having no clue.
Precisely. It's just a passive absorption back into the whole without retaining that self-analyzing consciousness, sasvambhadana.
But conscious Paranirvana.
That's the goal, esoterically speaking. It's merging with the absolute while retaining Paramartha, achieving a perfected, individual yet simultaneously universal spiritual self-awareness.
How is that even possible?
It requires the development of the higher mind and spiritual intuition, buddhimanas, in theosophical terms.
So during Pralaya, individuals, these units of consciousness, they vanish from the phenomenal world.
And merge back into the one noumenal reality.
And it's not automatic. You have to achieve it.
Yes, it's achieved by purifying the mind, specifically getting rid of the illusion of the separate self, ahankara, and also by assimilating spiritual merit, the positive karma accumulated over lifetimes.
So wisdom prajna and spiritual knowledge jhana are key to escaping Maya, the illusion.
Absolutely essential. You need that insight to see beyond the illusion of separateness.
And the builders in this whole picture, they're called the root of the world.
Yes, because they are the bridge. They produce form, rupa, out of no form, arupa.
And this root is identified with Devamatri and Svabhavat.
Correct. Devamatri is the mother of the gods. Think of it as cosmic space in its feminine generative aspect. Aditi, the Sakti, or power of the Logos.
And Svabhavat.
That's often equated with the Vedantic concept of Mula Prakriti. It's described as this androgynous something, both undifferentiated and the potential for differentiation. It's the fundamental substance, the web of the universe.
Woven from spirit and matter, Purusha and Prakriti.
Yes, woven together by Fohat. There are parallels in Kabbalah, too, with ideas like Sephira and Shekinah in their primordial states.
So the builders are the ones who take these formless archetypal ideas
From Mahat, from the divine mind.
and start giving them subtle cosmic structure.
Exactly. They bridge that gap between the absolute potential and the first stirrings of manifestation.
Okay, this is fascinating. It leads into this paradox of non-being, silence sound.
Right. The stanza asks, where was silence? Where were the ears to sense it? No. There was neither silence nor sound.
Because in that state, nothing existed to perceive silence or make sound.
Precisely. It highlights how things can cease to exist in one state, yet their underlying essence remains. It's a core idea in Eastern philosophy.
Like the hydrogen and oxygen example. They cease being gases to become water, but the H and O are still there, just hidden in abscondido.
Exactly. It relates to the idea that surface appearances are illusory, Maya. And it ties back to Pralaya. The universe sleeps, but the potential is still latent, waiting to reawaken.
It shows that all states of matter are just transformations of this one fundamental spiritual essence, Mula Prakriti or Svabhavat.
And driving this potential into actuality is the eternal breath motion.
The dynamic aspect.
Yes, the spiritual dynamic force behind cosmogony. Its counterpart on the physical plane is unceasing motion,
Then this breath is linked to the one eternal element.
which is space, but space on its highest plane, dimensionless. It coexists with eternal duration, primordial matter, Mula Prakriti, and absolute motion.
So perpetual motion is the breath of this unified spirit substance.
Yes, it never truly ceases, even in Pralaya. It just changes its mode of operation. In the manifested universe, this motion is the root of everything: electricity, magnetism, sensation, thought, life itself. It's Atma in its dynamic aspect.
Like the rhythmical motions of the unconscious ocean, as one rishi put it.
A beautiful analogy. But it's important to note, this breath, this motion, doesn't apply to the ultimate reality, Parabrahm or Tite.
Right, because Parabrahm is beyond motion and rest.
Exactly. It's the unknowable absolute. Brahma, the manifested universe, is distinct from Parabrahm. Brahma is instrumental, not the ultimate source.
Parabrahm isn't a cause in the normal sense?
No, it's more like the principle of causality itself, the ultimate potential or power behind all causes. Blavatsky critiques interpretations that treat Puranic creation myths too literally, emphasizing that esoteric philosophy focuses on the spiritual substance, upadana, and the divine hierarchies as agents.
Parabrahm remains inconceivable.
Even to the first logos, apparently. It can only cognize Mula Prakriti, the veil. The universal force from Parabrahm isn't a personal conscious force, but the impersonal law of life and being.
Which leads to that line, the breath knows itself not.
Yes, because self-consciousness, as we understand it, requires a subject-object split that only happens in manifested existence.
So the eternal breath which knows itself not is this absolute unconditioned energy before differentiated consciousness arises.
Correct. Infinity cannot personally comprehend finiteness. The unknowable mover, Swayambhu, is both absolute consciousness and absolute motion.
But it appears as unconsciousness and immovability to us.
Because our perception is limited and dualistic. Absolute consciousness contains the knower, the known, and knowing all unified. To us, that looks like unconsciousness, like intense light seeming like darkness.
Mind-bending. And this force acts according to law, not whim.
Immutable law. There's no personal deliberation at that level.
Okay, so after this state, we reach the unstruck hour. What happens then?
This is the dawn of Manvantara. The ray of ever-darkness, symbolizing Parabrahm, transforms into light. This is the first stirring of the Logos.
And this ray flashes into the germ.
Yes, the germ is this metaphysical point, a Laya center within the mundane egg, the boundary of the emerging cosmos. It's primordial, undifferentiated matter.
The point is the unmanifested logos within space.
Essentially, yes. The ray's action thrills this latent germ, giving it the first impulse. The germ then develops into the second logos, often shown as a triangle, spirit matter Fohat, within the egg.
And this germ isn't just one single point.
No, Blavatsky clarifies, it exists potentially within the noumenon, the spiritual essence of every atom. Collectively, they are the germ, the spiritual seed of future universes. It's figurative for the unmanifested creative power.
Contained within the mundane egg, or the Matrapadma, the mother lotus.
Exactly. The Matrapadma, the mother lotus, is a hugely important symbol here.
Representing the dual creative power, spirit and substance.
Yes, force and substance. It's seen as the product of heat, spirit, the active male principle, and water. Subtle matter, the passive female principle, ether.
So the Matrapadma is the eternal egg, the womb of space.
In its pre-cosmic state, yes. It becomes periodical, cycling through activity and rest once the ray activates the germ within it. Padma is the egg, the womb, primordial substance.
And though matter is often seen as female, this primordial stuff, Mula Prakriti, is androgynous before it differentiates.
Correct. And the phrase, not yet swollen.
I like that. It refers to lotus seeds having tiny leaves inside.
Yes, an ancient botanical observation used symbolically. It means the potential, the inner pattern, exists before the outer form. Theosophically, the Matrapadma only swells, becomes generative, after the logos activates the germ.
The lotus is such a rich symbol everywhere, for the cosmos and for us.
Absolutely. The seed mirroring the pre-existing spiritual prototype in divine ideation, Mahat.
And its growth root in mud, stalk in water, flower in air.
Perfectly illustrates the evolution of life. Root in material substance, stalk through the formative astral planes, flower opening to the spiritual light of the Logos.
It suggests the elements of the cosmos and humanity are fundamentally the same, evolving similarly.
Following a septenary pattern, yes. Which brings us towards manifestation, into the unopened heart of Maya.
Right, so primordial substance, Mula Prakritis Vabhavat, is still latent. Then the hour strikes.
A karmic impetus. Substance becomes receptive to the fohatic impress of divine thought, the Logos' creative impulse. Its heart opens.
And you clarified earlier, fohatic here is like an attribute of the logos itself.
Yes, the active energy. Fohat as a distinct entity is a later development. Fohat is the Sakti power of the divine mind. Alaya is the universal soul.
And this leads to differentiation from 3 to 4.
Exactly. The primordial 3, Father, Mother, Son, or Spirit, Substance, First, Logos, becomes the manifested 4, the Pythagorean tetractys, the quaternary basis of the phenomenal world.
This is the esoteric root of the Trinity and Immaculate Conception ideas.
That's the argument presented. Geometrically, the ray from the sexless point, germ, creates potential for both sexes, First Logos. Polarity emerges, the triad acts on substance, and the spiritual triangle becomes the material square or cube.
And Kabbalah has a similar idea, Kether emanating Chochma and Baina.
Yes, the supernal triad descending into matter, producing the fourfold tetragrammaton IHVH.
So the fundamental dogma is unity manifesting in 3 aspects.
Because absolute unity is incomprehensible. We need differentiation to grasp it, like needing the tree of life to understand life. Deity is latent in every atom.
The Kabbalistic view, one infinite deity manifesting as 3 logoi.
In Aristotle's physics, potentiality, form, matter finds an echo. Occultism sees potentiality as spiritual prototypes in the astral light, reflecting archetypes from Mahat.
And the union needs a 4th principle.
The divine life, jiva, from the absolute. This fundamental quaternary, Father, Mother, Son as one, plus the manifested universe, is the metaphysical basis for the Immaculate Conception.
The square unfolds to the cube matter, whose faces form the cross. 7 principles. Macroprosopis becomes microprosopis.
And the metaphysical Immaculate Conception is about the Logos being born through the Immaculate Mother, substance, not from her in a biological sense. Parabrahm is sexless.
Potential for both sexes is in Mula Prakriti, but matter is receptive, hence female. Its fertility is inherent, awakened by divine thought.
Right. The Christian doctrine is seen as a later materialization of this cosmic concept. Theosophically, the cosmic sun, Logos universe, is born of the celestial virgin, primordial substance.
And this son is then born again on Earth.
As the son of terrestrial Eve, differentiated matter Earth, becoming humanity, destined for divinity, even the Hebrew IHVH is seen as originally androgynous.
This cosmic mystery is repeated on Earth in humanity's spiritual birth.
That's the idea. The son of the celestial virgin becomes mankind. The triad becomes the tetractys. The process is now fully in the lap of Maya.
The great illusion of phenomenal existence.
And the astral light, lying between the spiritual and material, can be deceptive without true spiritual knowledge, gnosis or jnana, gained through understanding our true being, paramartha satya, via svasamvedana.
Phew. Okay, finally, darkness as father-mother. We're focusing more on our solar system now.
Blavatsky often uses our solar system and its sevenfold planetary chain to illustrate these universal principles, especially from stanza 2 onwards. So the 7 suns mentioned relate primarily to the creators or informing principles of our system.
Though the very first stanzas deal with universal awakening from Pralaya.
Yes, the scope is multi-layered. These 7 suns are linked to the sons of the fire, the primordial Dhyan-Chohans, connected to the sacred planets, elements, and evolutionary rounds and races. They're subdivisions of the third logos, Mahat.
And Svabhavat comes up again here, the plastic essence.
Yes, filling the universe, the root of all. Blavatsky calls it the Buddhistic concrete aspect of the Vedantic Mula Prakriti, the body of the soul, like ether to Akasha.
The androgynous something, the web of the universe, pre-cosmic fabric.
Nagarjuna's view is helpful, substance giving substance to itself, self-generating, both inactive and active, a nature with no fixed nature, pure potential.
The name itself, Susvabhava, good self-being.
And at this pre-cosmic stage, darkness alone was father, mother, Svabhavat, and Svabhavat was in darkness.
But darkness here isn't just absence of light.
No, it means the unknown totality, absoluteness, the unmanifested parabrahm.
The first logos is light compared to that darkness, but darkness compared to later logo.
Exactly, it's all relative. Before manifestation, father, mother, Svabhavat, dual spirit matter, is completely within the ultimate darkness, parabrahm.
Which leads to the last parts, the germ and divine thought.
These two, darkness, absolute, and Svabhavat, father, mother, united in Pralaya, are the germ of future universes. Fundamentally one, duality latent.
Blavatsky calls the germ the eternal, undifferentiated atom's spiritual units, one with space.
Again, figurative for all latent potential, the creative power held in the divine bosom, the mundane egg, or Matripadma.
And divine thought isn't a personal thinker.
No. The universe, in its eternal potential, Sat, is divine thought. It's reflected in the secondary cause, the Logos Mahat. Brahma, neuter, is the unmanifest mystery. Brahma, male-female, is the active Logos.
The absolute is dormant mind. Its shadow becomes active cosmic mind, Mahat.
As Blavatsky says, in the absolute, everything always exists as potential. Before the hour struck, the potential universe sun was concealed in the divine thought, not yet fully active in the divine bosom substance.
This latent sun in the unified father-mother is the root of those immaculate birth allegories.
That's the esoteric interpretation. The ray, divine thought first logos, flashes into the germ in the Matripadma, divine bosom substance.
Linking the cosmic beginning to those later religious stories? Wow.
So, in this deep dive, we've touched on Paranirvana, the builders, the eternal breath, the germ, divine thought, the whole unfolding from absolute rest.
It has been quite the cosmic adventure. Honestly, the main thing sticking with me are the cyclical nature of everything, the idea that potential comes before actuality, and just how interconnected it all seems.
It definitely offers a different perspective.
It makes our everyday reality feel, well, different. Less solid, maybe.
And it's great that you, the listener, have come along on this journey into such, let's face it, pretty abstract territory. Grappling with these ideas really does offer a new lens on reality and our place in it.
It really does, and it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Like, could our whole universe just be one cycle, one Manvantara, in an endless series of cosmic
A
breaths?
profound thought.
And what about that idea of unconscious, absolute consciousness? How does that challenge our definition of reality itself? It gives you so much to chew on about potential versus manifestation.
Indeed. Perhaps reflecting on that relationship, the dance between the unmanifest and the manifest, is the deepest takeaway from exploring these ancient concepts.